Greetings. We're looking at problem number 1 for section 4-5 on page 226. It says solving a quadratic equation by factoring. What are the solutions of the quadratic equation x squared minus 5x plus 6 equals 0? Just to let you know that we are also, another word for solutions would be zeros of the function. So we're looking for the zeros of the function or the solutions, and the zeros of the function are the places where it crosses the x-axis. So those are known as my zeros. And we're going to be using something called the zero product property. And the zero product property basically states that if I have two entities or any two things, and I have a product and it's equal to 0, then one of those things has to be 0. So that makes sense. So if I have a times b and it equals 0, that means a is either 0 or b is equal to 0. So we need two products, or we need products here, at least two of them. So the product of something, we're going to have to change this to a product so that we can use the zero product property. All right, so we have x squared minus 5x plus 6 equals 0. And factoring was showed to us in another lesson, so we are pretty good at factoring by now. I know that 2 times 3 equals 6, positive 6, but I wanted to add up to be negative 5. So I'm going to say negative 2 times negative 3. When I add those, I get negative 5. And negative 2 times negative 3 equals positive 6. So I have x minus 2 times x minus 3 equals 0. So now I have a product. So I can set each one of those equal to 0. So I have x minus 2 equal to 0 and x minus 3 equal to 0 because of the zero product property. One of those has to equal 0. So I'm going to add 2 to both sides to find out what x is. So x equals 2 here. And here, x equals 3. So according to the zero product property, I know that the place where my graph or the place where my parabola or quadratic equation is going to cross the x-axis is at x equals 2 and at x equals 3. Okay, let's take a look at the got it now. So I have, what are the solutions or the zeros of the quadratic equation x squared minus 7x equals negative 12. So let's write that here. X squared minus 7x equals negative 12. Now what's different about this equation? The difference is it's not equal to 0. So I need to make it equal to 0. So I'm going to add 12 to both sides so that I can use that zero product property. So I get x squared minus 7x because I can't add the 12 and the 7x. They're not alike. Plus 12 equal to 0. And so now I need to find out two things that when I multiply them, they give me 12. And when they add together, they give me negative 7. So let's look at some factors of 12. I know that 3 times 4 gives me 12. But it gives me, when I add it, it gives me positive 7. So let's try negative 3 and negative 4. When I add them, I get negative 7. And when I multiply them, I get positive 12. So I get x minus 3 times x minus 4 equals 0. So I can apply the zero product property. I have x minus 3 equals 0 and x minus 4 equal to 0. So I can add 3 to both sides here. And I get x equals 3. And here I can add 4 to both sides. And I get x equals 4. So my quadratic will cross the x-axis at x equals 3 and x equals to 4. I hope this helps.